Hello, hello, hello. Time for a video. I'm going to have a look at a few letters here. This is for OET Premium on Telegram. So it's a relatively new group. There's only about 2,000 members, I think. But anyway, I've got 3 letters. We're going to take a look at those. I'm going to get my criteria out and we'll do a comparison with that, and we'll take a general look at the English part of the letter. Alright, so there's the criteria. Got that here. Okay. Put some changes on. Let me close that off because it's making a noise. Okay. So, right. Dear Director, i.e. Jim Middleton, the DOB here. Okay, that's looking good. I'm writing to request re-eligibility. Now, I don't know if that means RE eligibility or re-eligibility or simply eligibility for pension, for a pension and a helper at home. For whom? For whom are you requesting this? It sounds like you are asking it. So you would need to say something like, I'm writing to inquire about eligibility and a pension and home help for Mr. Middleton, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's what you need in your first line. And it's a pensioner. Don't use first names. If it's a kid, a child, then yes. But this guy, what is it? So how old is he? So this is 2008, but 1924. He's nearly 100. So I don't think we'd call him Jim, Mr. Middleton. As Mr. Middleton, blah, blah, blah. Where are we? Yes. So, as Mr. Middleton, Second World War veteran, underwent in Greenhill Hernery following the mission of government, this is not clear at all. Right. Your purpose. Let me get my pen. Immediately apparent. Why am I reading this? What's your purpose? Your reason for writing? Quick and precise sense of what is asked of them. Look, quickly, efficiently. Purpose, introduced early, expanded. So, I'm writing to inquire. I don't know if this is inquiry or request. Eligibility for a pension or pension and home help for Mr. Middleton. So that's all that you need. Now, we don't need this in the introduction. This is what you would put in paragraph 2, history, etc. But first things first, why are you writing? Okay. Jim, a Second World War veteran, underwent in Greenhill. Underwent an operation for? Is that what you mean? In Greenhill hernia. Following his admission on July 7/28, is recuperating well. Why is this part of the same sentence? So this is far too long. In any case, for a sentence, as Mr. Middleton, the Second World War veteran, underwent an operation following Greenhill Hernery, following his admission on the recovery. Oh dear, far too long. All that you need. I'm writing to request about. I'm writing to inquire about the eligibility for pension and home help for Mr. Middleton, and then something about the operation and discharge, or who is being discharged from our care following a recent hernia operation. So do something like that. So I haven't looked at the case notes because if you've done this correctly, I don't have to. It should be clear right from the start. So you say, I am writing to inquire about pension and home help for Mr. Middleton, who is being discharged. It's not happened yet. Is being discharged following a successful or following an operation for, was it inguinal hernia? Something, right, something such as that, okay? Oops, so that would be clear. Okay, I'm writing to inquire about his pension and home help for Mr. Middleton, and I can see his DOB here. I can see he's quite old. You don't have to tell me he's a Second World War veteran. I don't know why that's important. The important thing is his age. Being discharged following an operation. Okay, so that would work well for the introduction. Okay. In addition, Mrs. Olga, or simply Olga, his wife, Olga, is finding it difficult to manage at home alone. So you need your purpose first, and then you need to explain why you're making the request that you are. It's like, regarding their social history, Mr. Middleton, blah, 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 blah. However, his wife Olga needs help, etc. Something such as that. So, Mr. Middleton was instructed to avoid lifting heavy objects. Well, if he's 80 something, I mean, was 2008, now if he's nearly 100 years old, he shouldn't be lifting heavy objects in any case. Nor should he be driving. Not to drive for 6 weeks, but can do mild exercises. Okay. So, this seems to be all over the place. Mr. Middleton lives with his wife, Olga. Now, this should have been paragraph 2. The history. So this is all mixed up. His son is in the United States of America, and what's that got to do with anything? Because you've already said that they are at home alone. It's just him and Olga. He owns a large garden and maintains it, or which he maintains by himself. Any assistance from the income from investments? What investments? That's the first I've heard about investments. What investments? Well, his good health, she's becoming deaf, as well as being unable to drive. As a consequence of sudden fall in the stock market. Jim's health. They're unable to afford to maintain the gut. This is all over the place. There's no logical sequence. And it would be greatly appreciated by whom if you could provide support assistance in order for them to lead a happy life. Would you really use this as a phrase? I don't think so. Not if you're a healthcare professional. So this is very muddled. It's not logically arranged at all. So you need the purpose. I'm writing to request, inquire about pension for home help, Mr. Middleton, blah, 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 blah. Then we need a history section, such as this one here. Mr. Middleton lives with his wife. I don't think we need to know his son is in the United States. You can say he lives at home alone with his wife. Well, he's not alone. he's with his wife, but him and his wife, it's just those two. He's got a garden. I don't really know what to say with this. You've got information jumping back and forth that you don't mention, that you should have mentioned first for it to make sense. Because you talk about investments here, and we would say what investments, because you have a definite article. The investments, what investments, and then you mention fall in the stock market. So presumably that refers to the investments, and then you've got this stuff about avoid lifting heavy objects. So you need a logical sequence of events. So do a purpose, do a history for paragraph 2, then talk about the operation, what happened, why he was in hospital, what caused it, did the operation go well, and then after that, what does he need for his home help? Following his operation, he has a garden, so he needs help to maintain this, and blah, 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 blah. The pension, presumably because his investments aren't working because of a fall in the stock market. So it's like you mention a pension here, and the reason for it, presumably, is the sudden fall in the stock market, but you don't mention that until right at the end. So, as I say, this is very mixed up. So try and get this in a more logical sequence of events. I want you to do X, Y, Z. The reason I want you to do X, Y, Z is because event 1, event 2, event 3, therefore I am asking you to do X, Y, Z. Okay, because here it's jumping up and down, back and forth, and I have no idea what is going on. Okay, let's have a look. So, take a look at this second one, just put that there. Okay. Mrs. Ann Jenkins, another elderly person. Thank you for seeing Mrs. Jenkins, 90 widow, there's no injury, now, right. Do we need this in the introduction? That she's allergic to elastoplast? I don't think so. We don't need it here. Okay? What we need here, as I just pointed out, is purpose. Again, let's take a look. Why am I reading this? What do you want me to do? Immediately identifiable, so I don't have to search. Okay? So, thank you for seeing her. Okay, I'm seeing her. Now, right. On her medical conditions. So, that's not as clear or immediate, and that should be capitalized, as it could be. I'm writing to request your follow-up for Mrs. Jenkins, who was recently discharged from A&E due to a fall at her home. Okay, a single sentence, and then you can explain why you want me to do X, Y, Z. So it's pretty straightforward, really. Yeah? So your purpose first, okay, I want you to do X, Y, Z, then tell me a narrative, construct a narrative, a story that tells me why you want me to do X, Y, Z. Okay, allergic to elastoplast, I would move that down, I think. Regarding Mrs. Jenkins' medical history, she had because attack is countable, or a transient ischemic attack on 2014. On, you mean in 2014. Okay. She also had atrial fibrillation, hypertension, arthritis. Her neighbour informed us she had. I mean, present perfect. She has had multiple falls at her home. Why is this in the middle of the medical history? Doesn't make sense there. Try not to mix your paragraphs, right? Try not to mix them. If it's medical, medical. If it's social, it's social. Try not to mix them up because it doesn't make sense. Her neighbour informed us she had multiple falls at her home. Okay. Her current medications include blah, 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 blah. On examination today, Mrs. Jenkins, orientated woman, well perfused. Her blood pressure was 145/80 online without understanding. There were multiple bronchi of her chest. Why do we have these very short? This is not a paragraph. This is a list of sentences. How is this grammatically complete? How is this a letter? It's a list of sentences. Her blood pressure was blah, blah, blah. Stop. The mother won't go to the chest. Stop. Her pelvic X-ray was crisis. Stop. That's not a paragraph. It's a series. It's a list of sentences. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences there. Now, it's supposed to be an English test, so you should be joining these up with conjunctions, and, but, so, making it a subordinate clause with a comma or a colon, etc. Not a list of sentences. Okay, in light of the above, we don't say that. We say in view of the above. In view of the above, Mrs. Jenkins is your assistant follow-up regarding directed review of medical conditions. Okay, so this needs to move. This needs to move. And we need to maybe have a little more background about the fall. What happened there? Okay, so that's not too bad. The main thing is this list of sentences. So I'd take a look at that. One more. Abu. We just put this here. Let's have a look. Okay, Mr. Daniel McRae. Oh, it should be capitalised, but still, okay. Thank you for seeing Mr. McRae, who has been diagnosed with adenocarcinoma of the ascending colon. Your further assessment will be appreciated. Well, I'm sure it would, but appreciated by whom? And why is it a second? Why is it a subordinate? Why is it a second sentence? Further assessment. So why not simply say, I am writing to request your assessment or further assessment of Mr. McRae, who has recently been diagnosed with adenocarcinoma of the ascending colon, etc. And that would do. Initially, Mr. McRae presented signs of viral infection, for anybody can sore throat, and a sore throat. Okay. Mr. McRae wanted antibiotics. He has been advised. Well, why is this present perfect passive? He has been advised. If we know when, if it's a definite time, then we wouldn't use present perfect. We would simply he was advised, because we know when the action occurred. Advised us to rest for 1 to 3 days. I would spell it out, not just put a number, and to take paracetamol if needed, depending on symptoms. We requested to come back for a review if the symptoms persist. Right, so again, you know, we know when this occurred, so we don't need present perfect. He was requested to come back for a review if the symptoms persisted for more than 5 days. Okay, so that's the initial visit. Okay. So, on the 8th of the 2nd, he presented again with a feeling of tiredness and discomfort, gas and not bowel movements. Examination, his examination, the examination, was unremarkable. So why mention it if it was unremarkable? And he had not mentioned any family history of colorectal cancer. So there was nothing there. So why tell me about what there wasn't? Why not tell me about what there was? If there's no family history, I would have put a paragraph here. Mr. Regarding his medical history, there is no family history of blah, 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 etc. And then you can go into your visits. According to his symptoms, a full blood count, and think I could book it as a colonoscopy, because you can count colonoscopy, were ordered. Okay, and he had not mentioned. Okay. Today his results came back showing positive occult blood test and biopsy taken of his colon. and A biopsy or V biopsy taken from his colon suggested the diagnosis of the carcinoma. Regarding the patient's diagnosis, your assessment is highly appreciated. Why do people keep using these phrases? Why these adverbs? Why would it be highly appreciated? And appreciated by whom? There's no need for this. And if you look at any official OET letters, you won't see this phrase. They don't use it on purpose because it's meaningless. So he says, today his results came back, blah, 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 blah. In view of this, I would appreciate your assessment or diagnosis of Mr. McRae. Something such as that. That would be better, I think. Okay, so not too bad, not too bad. Not too bad at all. That's not too bad. This one's not too bad. Could be reworked a little. This one needs to be sequenced a little better because it's not as clear as it could be. Okay, that'll do for now. That's all that people posted when I made this. I'll probably make another video later in the week if anybody posts any more letters. Until then, I'll see you then. If you've got any questions, you can post them in the group.